What is the cost of having a privacy in place and a privacy policy in place? Well, maybe too much, but is it good enough to take the risk of not having being privacy compliant and wait for a breach to happen? Let's talk about the cost of privacy policy, existence or non-existence. Welcome to my YouTube channel where you've been watching daily new content about data privacy. The basic definition of data privacy is that it's my right to choose what personal information am I sharing with whom and what is the purpose of sharing that information. And along with sharing the information with him, am I allowing him to further share my information with any other third party? If yes, then with whom and what is it that the third party is going to further do for me? This process is also called consent management, and there's a lot of content on my channel on this. Data privacy as such, apart from giving me this, also gives me the rules and regulations and laws that help me protect my personal interest in case I see my personal information being wrongly shared or wrongly used by anyone around. The key factors, of course, there is that if you need my free consent, if you want me to be confident about it, you'd please define the purpose very, very clearly. Tell me why do you need, what are you going to do with my personal information, even if it's only sending me new offers on your products. Collect only what is required for you and not anything which is irrelevant, does not solve your purpose, so that I confidently give you my consent, and I am also sure that you are going to respect my rights as a user, and there are 10 fundamental rights that data privacy defines which a user has about his own personal information. Make the entire process very, very transparent, very, very clear, define the clear purpose, communicate the clear purpose of how and why you are collecting information, how are you going to process it, and how are you going to share it with any other third party. This is the base essential of data privacy. Okay, now how do you communicate that? You talk to the external world using privacy notice, you talk to your organization using privacy policy. You tell your organization, like any other policy, that this is the privacy policy, this is the personal information we are collecting, and this is the way we are going to handle it. Your stakeholders, your managers should know it. Your employees and subcontractors who are processing anyone's personal information should know it, right? So privacy policy is the document that specifies it for them. Of course, there would be SOPs for individual processes, but the policy is the overall guideline of how it is going to be maintained in your organization, and it would also help your managers to allocate resources accordingly depending on how you are going to or how you are planning to use the personal information collected. What is the cost of creating a privacy policy? It begins with assessing what all are you currently doing with personal information and how is it being currently handling, right? Planning how it has to be more efficient and making sure that it is not being wrongly shared or wrongly used. We are collecting a lot of personal information. The security of storing it should be enhanced. Generally it is an infosec thing, but it is now a privacy thing as well. Infosec is more on data safety. They do handle personal information also, but personal information as privacy is a separate subject, though interlinked with information security. You have to manage the CIA triad, you have to manage the confidentiality, integrity and availability of personal information you have collected. The policies and processes need to be well trained to your employees at a regular interval, along with so many examples, incidents. You may have to deploy new tools and technologies. Specialized softwares are available that help you manage the data privacy and mark what all is required to ensure that the data is kept private. Manual processes are there, and you need to manage manual processes also well. And you need to regularly manage, monitor and audit these processes, right? It's a part of your system. You can't just leave them that you created them and now they may be happening, may not be happening. So there would be a cost incurred by in monitoring them, and maybe you get them audited from external agencies or an audit internal team, which again has a cost, right? So there will be a lot of new team members involved in your organization. A larger organization may have a complete privacy department with a dedicated DPO, but even smaller organizations would need someone or the else to handle data privacy for them. Cyber insurance becomes more critical now, because now you will have financial penalties of missing data, and you need to be planned for future. Because you'll have a lot new things coming within privacy itself on a regular basis. So these are few of the factors that you need to consider when you are planning the cost of implementing privacy and a privacy policy for your organization. What if you don't have it? There's no direct value defined to a breach. There are indirect values. My personal information is breached. You have to inform me. You have to tell me the impact. You have to ensure me that it would not be repeated from your organization, but then I could demand anything from you. So you need to factor those costs. These are important factors that happen worldwide. Apart from that, the legal regulatory authorities, not only privacy based but non-privacy based, have fines and penalties if you lose personal information or it is wrongly being used. They in some geographies in the world, the penalties are up to 10% of the annual turnover of the organization. So the penalties are very, very huge. You may be lucky, you just pay penalties, but if the impacted user thinks they want to take you to litigation, to court, then it is even more scary because you spend a lot of time there and a lot of cost of litigation as well. Non-compliance cost until you are caught, but yes, there is a cost, and that would happen sooner or later. If when, not if but when, is a very important statement that comes in such cases. Your brand reputation, and no one can tag what do you lose when you lose your reputation. We know so many businesses worldwide who got wiped off just because of a product malfunction, loss of reputation for that. So privacy breach is a very harmful thing. So you need to be very careful and see that you invest properly in getting privacy implemented in your organization. How would your privacy costs escalate from time to time? There would be scalability required, new people coming in, more data collected from prospects, new products being developed. You would be required to adapt to new regulations. You would have sector specific requirements. For example, healthcare needs to store all patient data for 10 years. Financial services need to store the end of day transactions for 15 years on a daily basis, right? So there would be different costs of different things depending on the business requirement or the business sector that you are working in. If you are a multinational company, different countries would have different standards, and therefore to deploy them and then getting them on the same platform, you would use more technologies as well. So the cost would be increased and impacted. And again, a new regulation may come in one geography, but you have to adopt it for all the geographies because you have to be consistent across the organization, right? So the cost could escalate over there. And what are the benefits of having privacy? It's another compliance. The more compliant you are, the better brand reputation you have, the more confident I am on you, the more business I'll do with you. That's very, very important. That's a very, very basic thing. If your policies are clear, if your fundamentals are clear, if your team is well trained, you'll get a lot of operational excellence in your day-to-day working. There is a huge positive impact of compliant organizations than non-compliant organizations. Even if I don't know what does this compliance do, but I do understand, and I had that experience with me when I was in a hospital attending a patient, and it was not a very positive thing from patient's health point of view, but with the hospital's nursing staff noting down last minute readings also of the patient actually indicated that they are actually following global standards and they have data with them, and that is something which is very, very important. Confidence to go back to the same hospital despite not getting good results for the earlier patient is multifold increased. Whereas many people would say, I lost my family member, I won't go back to this hospital again. So you get competitive advantage because a compliant organization is by default assumed to be far more operationally efficient. So these are the key benefits that you get out of the managing privacy in your organization. You have to scale up your privacy operations depending on the size of your organization. Small businesses, retail chain stores, they may not even need privacy because all they are doing is someone walks in, purchases, and they just key in their invoice titled cash. They don't even want to know the name of the customer. But large multinationals would have a different world altogether. They need to have a large DPO department, data privacy department itself to handle their privacy. So the cost would depend on the kind of size and scale of your operations, but the cost of not having privacy and the cost of breach would also scale up accordingly. So you need to be very careful, and you should be privacy compliant as early as possible. That's what I had to talk about data privacy in the cost of data privacy in this video. I hope you like my content on this. Please press like and bell icon, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.